As claimed by Bales in 2012 in his book called Disposal People, New Slavery in the Global Economy, he did explain that contemporary slavery is a key human rights issue in the 21st century research on the research topic, as it has significant relationship between the nature of slavery, trafficking, and prostitution. He did explore to the breed kills in Pakistan, brothel in Thailand, server situation in Mauritania, Brazil, India, and to the extent to reach the multinational cooperation offices, as he managed to find there are tragic issues of a new slavery that are connected to the global economy.
You know, for me, the interest in contemporary forms of slavery started with a leaflet that I picked up in London. It was the early 90s, and I was at a public event, and I saw this leaflet, and it said, "There are millions of slaves in the world today," and I thought, no way, no way. And I'm going to admit to hubris, because I'm going to admit to you, I also thought, how can I be like a hotshot young full professor who teaches human rights and not know this, so it can't be true?
He further explained that slaves are cheap, need a little care, and are disposal, and are no longer a long-term investment in the older form of slavery context. He also mentioned that as a result of the revolution of economic globalization and modernized agriculture have made the poor farmer and their families be the target for enslavement. Slavery is an act of legally owning other people who are forced to work for or even obey to your instruction, according to Cambridge Dictionary. On October 18 every year, there is an anti-slavery day being celebrated. However, more than 200 years have passed since William Wilberforce was responsible to eliminate this unethical action. There are still around 29.8 million people that are still trapped in one of the history's oldest social institutions. In the most cases, this act can be determined in the corporate supply chain, where there are conflicts between running the business operation successfully by using lower labor costs and based on ethical values such as responsibility, dignity, equality, respect, fairness, and justice. Enslavement did not just disappear, but just change to other forms as well as using different names, and it will eventually went underground. Slavery is occurring everywhere, for instance in the home, in farm, or even in factories, and at any time around the world. There has been domestic slavery were hidden throughout the world, where the farmer workers are in slavery, children working in the industry that may occur in neighborhood and isolated area of the world. Referring to one of the famous slavery cases that happened until the world today was the children slavery in the chocolate industry that portrayed that exploitation of children that are particularly on the West Africa country such as Ivory Coast or even in Ghana, as many of the coca beans are being grown, harvested and sold throughout the globe.
On this farm, we find Abdul. He survived 3 years of work. He's just 10. He earns no wages for his work, he says, just food, the occasional tip from the owner, and the torn clothes on his back. Put in the simplest of terms, Abdul is a child slave.
The main concept of business ethics are utilitarian, moral right, justice, and ethic of care. All of these concepts are important to diagnose the slavery issues in the chocolate industry. First of all, utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is where the action and policies should be determined based on the benefit and cost. There will be a burden on society as to acquire the greatest good for the masses with sacrifice of individual right for the intention to protect the larger number of people. For the case of slavery in chocolate factory, the government have to ensure that the coca farmer get the fair prices of coca beans policy for their own benefit. In the meantime, this action will encourage and also to force them to reduce the cost of production and stop depending too much on the child labor. In addition to that, the moral right also can be viewed in this slavery case. The children and adolescents may not adapt any of the moral and value of adults around them, as they might develop their own moral and values. This can be further explained by Colbert's 3 levels of moral development theory, which are the first level, pre-conventional stage. They have stage 1, which are punishment and obedience orientation, and stage 2, which are instrumental and relative orientation. Second level, conventional stage, stage 1, which are interpersonal concordance orientation, and stage 2, which are law and order orientation. And lastly, for the third level, post-conventional stage, stage 1, which are social contract orientation, and stage 2, which is universal principle orientation. For the case of children slavery in chocolate industry, the children are being obedient because of they are being scared of punishment like starvation, beatings and whippings. Whereas in the context of social contract orientation, the associate parties should acknowledge that protecting the life of children is much more important than breaking the law and regulation. As for the universal principle orientation, it's not applicable in this situation, as all the associate parties have their own sets of law and regulation pertaining what is right and wrong that might not be appropriate with the law stated. Justice, however, focusing on considering an alternative that will provide fair treatment or to determine whether the action is legally right or wrong and the right of people to be considered and cared of. Justice can be in the form of distributive, compensatory, or procedural, which can be applied in these slavery matters. It is not fair to recruit children slaves rather than adults to work in the farm for the purpose to distribute its benefit and economic gains by putting too much burden on the children, as they are supposed to be growing up and getting proper education. Right is the entitlement of the individual towards the freedom of choice and well-being. In this case, the children are killed, beaten to death, only receive little amount of food, lose the right for education, depriving from having better future, and being tortured repeatedly. That shows that the children are being denied from getting some moral right. The coca farmers are going against the children's right, as every people have the right to live and also to have no right to being tortured. These farmers should be punished, and they need to compensate the children's health, as the working environment is affecting the health condition. These farmers should be punished, and they need to compensate the children's health, as the working environment is affecting the health condition. By enhancing the understanding in the literature to considering on how the business can detect, remediate and avoid the modern slavery in their operation, particularly in supply chain, sub-supplier, and also to acknowledge the contribution on supply chain, information disclosure strategies in response to legislative requirement. Not only relevant to a small number of large companies, global partners, small and medium-sized enterprise, and also supply chain have to be considered so that slavery will never happen in any part of the businesses.